Okay, so I guess we can start right now. So my name is Niels. I am an advisor at the Graduate Office at the University of São Paulo. I would like to welcome all here in this webinar between Humboldt University and the University of São Paulo. The idea is that in this morning and this afternoon in Deutschland, we could share some ideas how to foster the collaboration between the two universities and think about the strategies to increase our internationalization between these two countries. So I will ask Professor Marcio Castro Silva Filho, our Vice Adjunct Provost of Graduate Office at USP, to give us our welcome greetings in this session. Professor Marcio, please.
Okay, Niels, good morning, everyone, and good afternoon, our friends in Germany. It's really a pleasure to be here this morning in Brazil and this afternoon in Germany to start this very interesting and very exciting event. I would say that before just giving a few words on this, I would like to greet our colleagues from the University of São Paulo, as well as the colleagues from the Humboldt University in Berlin, and also the German agencies that will take part of this event as well. So it's a pleasure for us. So the Humboldt University Berlin is a strategic partner for the University of São Paulo. And I think that events such this one may pave the path for a new future for us. So to raise the bar in terms of increasing the possibilities, not only for mobility, this is perhaps the crucial point of this event. We want to foster this brain circulation, not only from students, but also from faculties, some in both sides. I think this is a great issue. So to be considered, it's not only south-north move, but also to have a really interactive environment. And because of our huge affinities, so, and also the perspective of the Humboldt University, and also the interest of the University of São Paulo, I strongly believe that we can do much more and do better what we've been doing so far. So with this event, I hopefully expect that we can also not only increase this mobility, I think it's, as I mentioned, a key issue, but also try to develop new initiatives, so sharing seminars, disciplines, and also have a very close interaction between our universities with the support of especially the German agencies and also the Brazilian ones. So I think that we'll have a very interesting and very exciting event this day. And I wish you all a very nice event. And thank you again, and welcome to Sao Paulo for those who are in Germany right now. Back to you, Niels, or I straight pass to is straight to you, Niels, or to Professor Valmor?
Professor.
Okay, so Professor Valmor, please come to stage.
Okay, I think now it's my time. Once again, good morning and good afternoon, depends where you are. Just before we are live, we're talking about the weather here in Brazil, really warm, and I know that in Germany right now is not that warm. Anyway, a warm welcome from Brazil. I don't know if it is unfortunate, but it is what we have right now virtually. Virtually welcome to Brazil. I'm not gonna take a lot of your time. In a few minutes, I'm going to present some important information about our international policy, where Germany fits in our policy, specifically Humboldt University. I also want to say hello to our friends from DAD, DWIH, and DFG. It's a lot of acronyms. Sometimes I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm struggling with these different acronyms. But anyway, I also know that Niels have some important information about our relationship between the institutions at the graduate level. And I guess that's it. As I said, in a few minutes, we have a lot of more specific information. And thank you very much for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here as a representative of our international office. Thank you. I guess now it's Britta, right? Niels? Okay.
Dr. Yoan.
I'm sorry, Yoan.
No problem.
The screen is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And bom dia, good afternoon from Berlin. As you said and pointed out, it's a pleasure for us at Humboldt University today to welcome you to these virtual information sessions about funding opportunities and academic opportunities in Germany. My name is Yoan Vilain. I'm President Representative for International and European Affairs at Humboldt University, and I'm delighted that this webinar is taking place today. Both our institution, Humboldt Universität and USP, have enjoyed a strong and long-lasting partnership since 2015, so now 6 years. And Marcio pointed it out, exchanges, excellency in science, in research, in innovation is one of a major objective that will continue to be an important focus in our partnership. Today, thanks to my colleagues Ursula Hans and Britta Schumacher, you will have the opportunity to learn more about Humboldt University zu Berlin, specifically its faculties, its research landscape, international academic networks, and affiliated funding agencies. And I have to say that also we are one of the leading universities in Germany. I'm really proud today that we are able to have this discussion today and to show you all the opportunities that you could have coming to Berlin and to Germany, hopefully as soon as possible. I'm also very delighted that colleagues from the German Research Foundation, DFG, German Academics Exchange Service, DAD, and the German Center for Research and Innovation in Sao Paulo will be able to join today. This is really an excellent platform for networking. So please ask your question about fundings, about the different opportunities. This is what we want to achieve today. Next to funding opportunities from DAD and DFG, you will be able to learn about the German-Brazilian network of research and innovation that is based directly in Sao Paulo and that can serve as a liaison between you and Humboldt University zu Berlin or other universities in Germany. And finally, I'm also very happy that Natalia Lavigne will be able to join later. Natalia is a doctoral student from USP who is currently writing a thesis here at Humboldt University zu Berlin and will be able to tell you firsthand about her experience from applying for funding to getting comfortable in a new culture and academic structure. And I hope and I'm sure that she has a great experience now in Berlin. So finally, let's talk about your question. The webinar is here for that. My colleague Britta Schumacher will be your contact person from our international office in Berlin, and I wish you all a great time and a fruitful exchange. Thank you very much and enjoy the webinar.
Thank you, Yoan. Britta, could you introduce our next speaker, please?
Sure, thank you so much, Yoan. And our next speaker will be Ursula Hans, Dr. Ursula Hans. And she is, next to Yoan, she is the deputy director or deputy head of the international office here in Berlin. And she will tell you more about Humboldt Universität zu Berlin, the structure and its opportunities. So Ursula, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much. I was going to show you a little bit of a presentation as well. I hope I can actually get this going so that you can see. Good morning, good afternoon. As everybody said, never quite know how to welcome people when time is so different as between the two of us, but it comes from the heart anyway. Forgive me in advance, please, for including a lot of information on these slides. I know it's not usually done. We should be shorter on slides, but I figured that we could talk our way through this, and I'd be perfectly happy to actually send you these slides, and you can look at them at your leisure again and see what information is useful for you. Also, I decided to include some pictures as background so that you can get an impression of what Humboldt looks like also at other times of the year, because it certainly doesn't look like the first slide at the moment, since we're in the middle of winter. I was going to start by giving you a little bit of an idea of what the university, what the basic facts about the university are. Let me see if I can shift this over a little bit. Yeah. It was founded in 1810 on the basis of the idea of unity of research and teaching. And as you know, there are two founders, Wilhelm and Alexander von Humboldt, two scholars who were fundamental, I think, in illustrating the idea of the general scientists. It's an important background to the university, since we still consider the unity of research and teaching, which of course these days is spread all over the world in almost all universities. We consider this a particular task of ours to update our understanding of what the unity of research and teaching actually means. Integrating the two seems to us the very foundation still of what it is that we're doing. The other one is, I would say, some people would say it's of more recent origin, interdisciplinarity. However, of course, the two founders of the university are in a way illustrations of what it means to do interdisciplinary research, because they certainly did research on all kinds of subjects and came to conclusions that are still the foundation of science today. We at Humboldt have 9 faculties of various sizes. I've listed them here for you. There's a slight oddity, I would say, in the fact that we share a medical faculty with Free University. This, of course, is the result of Berlin being a divided city for much of the 20th century. When Germany was reunited in 1989, the Berlin Senate decided that one medical school was enough for the city, and so the two sections came together. Today, of course, it is one of the largest medical schools in Europe, if not the largest, with about 6 university hospitals attached to it. When I started talking about interdisciplinarity, of course, there is some expression behind that of the belief that interdisciplinarity is a necessary component and a very exciting component of research done today. We have founded interdisciplinary integrated research institutes, particularly on the life sciences, on human environment interaction, and on the interfaces between chemistry and physics. There are a lot of research clusters, of course, who work on this interdisciplinary idea, mostly funded from the German Excellence Initiative framework. There's matters of activity, there's neurocure, there's a math-based one, and there's science of intelligence, which, you know, I won't go into details here, as I won't on the graduate schools either. But if you want more information on this, please contact me, and or contact Britta, and we'll be happy to supply further information on those. Now, all of this is based on a student body of about 38,000 students, plus 7,000 medical students. Among those are 6,000 to 7,000 international students in the normal run of things. At the moment, I would say there are fewer than these. because of the pandemic, of course. We have 440 professorships and 2,000 staff. We get to the research side of things. I'm sorry, just get in here. In Germany, as you know, the research landscape is arranged slightly differently than in many other countries. There's research done in the universities, but there's also research done in non-university research institutions, and these are important. There's basic research and applied science done in Max Planck societies, Fraunhofer Gesellschaften, Helmholtz and Leibniz associations. And if you wonder what these are about, is they, as I said, do basic research and applied research both, but they do not teach. So if professors who are part of those institutions want PhD students to contribute to their work, they need to associate themselves with universities. And that is what they do usually. There are a number of shared professorships between such non-university research institutions and Humboldt University in particular. Now in Berlin, there's a broad landscape, of course, of higher education institutions. There are 16 university-like institutions, and of course the University of Potsdam contributes to it, which all of it combines into a large and differentiated research landscape in Berlin and Brandenburg, which is the surrounding state, which is only rivaled within Germany by the one in the south around Munich. As I said, this one is very large indeed. All the major funding organizations that are represented today here, of course, also have Berlin offices. There's an office of the European Union, which is right down the street from us. Now, our strength, and I don't need to go into detail on this because you can read it as we go along, is in research, of course, but also in teaching. But we're talking about research at the moment. We're highly successful in the German Science Foundation grants. Research ranking is good. And of course, the German Excellence Initiative has proved to be a major push in refining our research interests and what comes out of it. International networks is maybe interesting for you. Just a quick run through. Berlin University Alliance means that we are associating ourselves with the other two large Berlin universities, which is Technical and Free University in Berlin. We have a European network of universities that we work with. There are privileged partnerships that we have over the years developed. Your university is, of course, part of that, but it's a worldwide network. We also, of course, regularly scan the funding opportunities that arise from that, but I'm sure later on people will talk in more detail about what funding opportunities arise from the privileged partnerships themselves. Now, in general, let me say that Germany and Europe are opportunity-rich funding grounds. It's almost difficult to have a complete view of what funding opportunities there are, and some of them are a bit complicated to work with. However, it is my firm belief that the starting point should always be what it is that you want to do with each other, and not where the funding opportunities are, because usually we are successful in locating funding opportunities once we know exactly what it is that you're doing or that you want to do. Can't read my own headline here. Oh, sorry. I was going to give you a short overview, at least, but a very brief, on what kinds of funding opportunities there are. There are funding opportunities, of course, in the bilateral agreements through a shared understanding of what monies there are kept ready, so to speak, for the application in shared research and also sometimes in mobility. There are funding opportunities through the EU in what they call a Key Action 171, and this needs to be applied for by a European smaller network that can also have associate partners in other countries outside the EU. Of course, there are Alexander von Humboldt scholarships. By the way, Alexander von Humboldt, unhappily, foundation is not part of Humboldt University. So I just wanted to make sure that you will realize that Alexander von Humboldt Foundation is quite a separate funding organization that we can apply to, of course, but have no special no special power about the decisions that they take. In particular, in Alexander von Humboldt scholarships, we should look at the Georg Forster scholarships, which are for scholars in various stages of their career to come to Germany and have the added benefit of including a sort of a lifelong network that goes along with that you can reapply for funding. There are scholarships by the Bayer and the Boehringer Foundations, two large German multinationals, but they are specific to particular subjects. In general, these would be natural science subjects. There are, of course, DAD, a broad spectrum of DAD funding that we can use. There are several foundations that we can put applications into. Fritz Thyssen is a sort of a general funding for the graduate and for the postgraduate stage of scholars and for scholars themselves. There's the Gerda Henkel Foundation, which funds projects in the humanities, particularly in the historical humanities. And of course, there's joint PhD support for the Brazilian-German PhD candidates within the DAD, even though the large funding scheme funded by the Brazilian government is, so I understand now, almost at an end. There's also, and I wanted to make sure that I mention that there's DAD funding for those of you who've had DAD scholarships before. What I consider would be necessary is if you want to make this an integral part of your work together, you will probably, if you want mobility to be part of the equation, you will probably need training workshops for application coaching, which means that we will have to set up one-on-one counseling and on particular funding and how to apply for that. But that should not be a large problem. Also, there's some general information on doing a PhD in Germany, on doing research in Germany, and on general information about how to deal with the landscape, so to speak, in Germany. Also, I put down a starting out page for you if you know what particular faculty you're interested in at Humboldt to start out with. I have to say, however, that some of the faculties, departments have English language web pages only to a certain extent. So if you know what you're looking for, I would suggest that if you need to enter further into these pages and look more in detail, that you contact Britta or even myself to help you along with that, because we'd be perfectly ready to do that. Now, if I had to say very generally what Humboldt is interested in terms of research at the moment, it's certainly the large topic of climate change from all sides, that could have a natural science side, but it could also have a social science side. There's democracy, there's global health, social cohesion, mathematics, neurocure, science of intelligence, and matters of activity, which are two of the large clusters that I mentioned before. And I would conclude with that and say thank you very much and be perfectly ready to answer questions if you have any. And I'll stop the presentation and send out the presentation if you want it.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ursula. It was a fantastic talk. We have some questions here, but we're gonna make in the break, okay? In a few minutes.
All right, very good.
Okay. Thank you very much. It was very, very nice and a clear picture about Humboldt University. So now we're gonna talk about some strategic partnerships between Humboldt and AUCANI and our graduate office. So it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Britta Schumacher from Strategic Partnership Manager at the Humboldt University. Britta, please.
Yes, hi everyone. Niels, should I start or would, okay.
Yes, please.
Then I'm gonna have to share my slide. Done. Okay. Okay, can you see my slides? Okay, perfect. Yeah, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the strategic partnership between Humboldt and USP and what has been done in the past and what we want to focus on in the future. This will be not so hands-on for you because I don't have specific programs for you that you can use, but I think it is good to know as a background that there's a specific strategic partnership and that you can use us, Ulla and me and my colleagues and our colleagues as a resource to build on this foundation. So first of all, I would like to elaborate a little bit about what makes us strategic partners. Generally, the universities match well on an academic level and are well suited with each other in terms of academic offerings and scientific options. Along those lines, there is a broad similarity in the academic standing and the scientific efficiency. And then also there's a high motivation and collaboration experience from faculty. This is important because without the active involvement, obviously, of faculty members and of students, the strategic partnership is just a construct and is not living and active. And then also proof of a successful scientific collaborations in the past, that is a very important item. And then obviously we also need the interest and the financial support from the administration, which is given, and then a strong commitment to the region and to elaborate and expand the German and Brazilian dialogue on cutting edge research and innovation themes. So this is just basically about our objectives and implementation. So based on the fulfillment of the points that I just elaborated on, we signed an agreement of partnership in 2015 to basically develop a long-term cooperation and exchange relationship to foster joint initiatives such as exchanging professors, researchers and students, organize conferences, management meetings, staff exchange, and supporting cutting-edge research. For example, the university leadership met in March 2016 at USP to participate in the USP 2024 strategic government meeting on the future of universities, or on October 2016, 5 undergraduate students from Humboldt received stipends to present their excellent research at the USP International Symposium for Undergraduate Research. And last but not least, USP and Humboldt funded a total of 18 research projects with a total shared budget of over 200,000 euros. Most of the projects that were funded were within the STEM field, so science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, as you see, but also in the humanities quite a bit. yeah, so you see, I won't go into details here, but you see some of the projects that were funded by our partnership. So this basically is the funding that goes through our Office of Strategic Partnership Management. And these are seed fundings. And so we would like to establish long-term scientific collaborations here and we both give a little bit of money into these projects each year, and with the hope that this will really rise into something long-term and bigger. And then really shortly, the outlook is to evaluate the outcome of the seed funding calls that have been done so far, and then also the renewal of our MOU, so our partnership contract, then in 2022, and then finding a broader thematic focus for future collaborations. So cutting edge themes that really work on global challenges. And then also to establish close ties to the German Center for Research and Innovation in Sao Paulo. That will be portrayed in a little bit in another section of this webinar. So last but not least, thank you. And you can always contact me directly, and I'll be happy to help with guiding you through this process.
Thank you very much, Britta. Great talk. And there's quite a lot of questions right now. So I will give you I think it's me or Valmor, let me see. Yeah, I will give a very short presentation too. And then after Valmor, we can answer together with Ursula all questions, okay? So I will share my screen right now. And then I will just complement the presentations from Britta about some highlights of collaboration between Humboldt University and USP, just taking into consideration graduate Olsen, master and PhD students, and how we seek to strengthen this collaboration in the upcoming years, because there is quite a lot of space to foster and to do more agreements between our universities. So just to let you know, USP is very young as compared to Humboldt. As Dr. Ursula just said, Humboldt has almost 200 years since the beginning, and USP is very, very young, but we are pretty much in the same direction in terms of science and research and teaching. If you look at the colors here, some areas that are very strategical for Humboldt, like physical science, it is also very important and a major area here at USP. So we have more or less the same colors in terms of area of knowledge that we are interested to collaborate, just giving us an idea that both universities are walking the same direction. It is very nice because as previous speakers told us, we do have already collaboration with both universities. We have more or less 300 authors that collaborate in some articles between both universities. This was very important because when we see the impact of the papers that come out from USP, we know that we still have to work on that to improve the quality of our research. It's very diverse here at USP as compared to Humboldt, but all papers that we publish together with Humboldt University is more or less 4 times higher in terms of the field weight citation impact. Just telling us again that we work together, the quality of the work is much better than we do alone. So that's should be one reason why we should collaborate even more between our university. And the main area that we are so far collaborating, sharing authorship in this paper are basically physical science, but we still have in the engineering, in health and life science, just showing that there is quite a lot of space to work on that and to improve collaboration. And one way that we can do this, and I know there are several questions from the chat to YouTube, we have to rely on our internationalization program that is supported by CAPS, that called USP Print. And this program is more or less now going to the third year. We have some fundings for sharing students, to send students for PhD, to send professors for missions, and also to receive talent, young investigation from abroad into our graduate programs here at USP. And we believe that this kind of brain circulation is vital for the university, and we have to take advantage of this program to find fellowships and financial support to do the collaboration between these two universities. So the program is divided in five main areas: health, more translation of plant and agriculture science, earth and space, technology, art and humanities. So students from all areas of knowledge at USP can apply to this program. We hope to open the next call in the beginning of the next year, and they will have support to do the mobility and to visit, if they choose Humboldt University, to do their fellowship. So we are, as was said in the beginning of this webinar, in a strange time considering the pandemics from new coronavirus. But we know that even though if you are fully vaccinated and the health allowed us to do the mobility, we can think in the near future to do this staff and student mobility to other countries and to strengthen collaboration. So we also would like to highlight that it is possible, together with this mobility, to sign double degree agreements with Humboldt University. We have already, and we're gonna hear today Professor Gisele, that she was pioneer in having this double degree agreements with Humboldt. But it's very important for us to see that this could be one possibility. And if the students from USP or even from Humboldt wants to do this process of joint or dual degree, they have to find the supervisor from both universities. They have to get in contact with probably Britta or Dr. Ursula and me at the graduate office here at USP to discuss about the project, to discuss about the agreement, and then to send to both universities to get it signed and then to start. So this is a real possibility that we should foster and strengthen the next year. So as I said to you, we only have at least now one agreement. This was done by Gisele and Professor Wolfgang from our architecture and urbanism faculty. But this shows to us that it's possible, and we should actually take this as an example to do more agreements, even with other units at both universities. So if you want to send emails to me or to the agreement department at the graduate office, you can send. I'll be happy to reply and to help you and to explain how we could proceed with this agreement. So thank you very much. I will stop sharing the screen. And immediately I will ask Professor Valmor to complement this data with some presentation from AUCANI. Thank you. Valmor?
Just a second, because I'm trying to share here. It's not working. Let's see now. Just a second. I guess you're not seeing my screen, right?
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yes, cool. Thanks, Niels and Britta, and also Dr. Ursula. You made my life easier because I'm going to present something in the perspective of the International Office about our international policy, but I'd like to start with something very, very quick about the University of São Paulo. I know most of our attendance is from Brazilians, maybe from professors or students from the University of São Paulo, but I think I have some interesting information about the university, but I know that I have only 5 minutes, then I'm gonna try to be very, very brief. The University of São Paulo is a state public university, a multi-campus university. We are in the state of São Paulo in 8 different cities. We are only from 1934, as Professor Niels said, we are very young. We have 48 schools, actually 42 faculties or schools, and 6 specialized institutes. Thus, we have almost 100,000 students, around 60,000 students at undergraduate level, and 30,000 students at graduate level, and the rest of it is continuing education students. Around 5,300 faculty members and 13,000 faculty members, professional staff members. I'm showing this data just to say to you that the University of São Paulo is truly comprehensive. We have around 340 undergraduate courses, 264 graduate programs divided in 231 departments. We are kind of big, but we are very productive, scientifically speaking. 22% of all scientific output in Brazil comes from the University of São Paulo. And most importantly, we are tuition free. You don't have to pay to study in the University of São Paulo. Regarding the international policy, of course, the idea is to put some international component in all of our activities, education, research, culture, services, and basically to improve the quality of the university, to increase diversity, which is really important, to improve our international citizenship. And of course, it is important for us to have a second language competence. We speak Portuguese, and then it's interesting. It's important to know German, French, English, Spanish, and so on. Thus, we have basically 5 important pillars for our international policy. And I'm saying this because this is really important with our relationship with Humboldt. Mobility, it's number 1. And then strategic partnerships. When I say strategic, it is based on academic and scientific quality, and also geopolitical decisions. Professor Niels just talked about double degrees or dual degrees. We are trying to increase the number of possibilities of double degrees. And of course, it is important to have an international experience here at the University of São Paulo through workshops. Right now, I don't know if I can say that it is easier to do some international actions virtually, but that's the idea, to increase virtual mobility, to increase the international environment, to improve the international environment here at the University of São Paulo. Just to give you an idea of the importance of Germany for us, this is data from our student exchange office, and the size of each square here is the importance of the partner. Then Germany, over here, I'm sorry, it's in Portuguese, right? Germany over here is a huge target for our students. This is outgoing. And then on the right side of the screen, we also have Germany here as German students coming to Brazil, to to the University of São Paulo. Therefore, Germany is a really important partner for our students to go abroad and also to receive international students here. And finally, we have this in the international office, we have this strategic partnership program. And as you can see, we have some different partners in different countries, but Humboldt is a strategic partner for us, which means that this event is truly important to foster cooperation. I mean, not foster, but to improve and to increase the cooperation between us. If you want to know some additional information about internationalization or student exchange or mobility or agreements and so on, you can find us in this website. And thank you very much for your attention. Back to you, Professor Niels.
Thank you very much, Valmor. Thank you very much, Britta. The questions, there are quite a lot of questions in Portuguese, of Deutsch, and in English too. So I'll try to just to select some questions to you all and combine some themes. So it will be easier. So Britta and Ursula can answer all together. So there are quite a lot of questions considering the subject of study. If there is specific calls for history, philosophy, engineer, natural science, I understand from all this question that they shouldn't want to know if you are a comprehensive university that any areas of knowledge can actually apply for mobility and do some research at Humboldt University. They are very specific in terms of some area, ancient philosophy, for instance, from engineer and geography, geology, something like this. So can you give us an idea which area, or if you are open to all areas of knowledge, how the students can find this match at Humboldt?
Yes, Britta, if I may. We are not we are a comprehensive university, but as you know, in Germany, there's this differentiation between technical universities on the one side and what we call full universities, which do not offer engineering subjects. So we are a full university, no engineering. However, I should qualify that by the fact that if you are the kind of engineer, for example, that focuses on chemistry, or focuses on physics or math or whatever, then of course it would still be possible for you to contribute, to participate in the exchange. It's very difficult to say comprehensively. We open all our subjects in principle to our exchange partners, of course. And there are some very special English language programs that we do not open. However, even there, I think we could talk. You know, I mean, it's not like you're applying as an unknown student when you're applying from the university from your university. It's more like we are trying to make things possible for partners. So in essence, if they're looking for a specific subject, maybe they could contact us, Britta or me, and we could tell them, you know, what would be possible for them, rather than to sort of do a spread of answers right now.
No problem. They are hearing us at the YouTube. Thank you very much. There one question, consider the Latin America studies, and at Humboldt? Do you have this office just to study specific subject on Latin America, something like this?
No, we do not do specifically Latin American studies. However, as you know, Wolfgang Schäffner, who you had in your presentation also, is a specialist on Latin America, and it would be actually there is an institute of the Ibero-American Institute in Berlin, but that is not at Humboldt but at Free University. So. No, you can come to us to study Latin American studies. However, maybe students should consider doing some sort of doing interdisciplinary theory to help them along with their Latin American studies kind of thing. Not focus on Latin America when they are in Germany, but instead, you know, sort of try to gain a framework for what they look at in Latin America.
Okay. Britta and Valmor, there are some questions about this agreement that you explained to us. They want to know if it's just for mobility, for PhD, master, even postdocs. Anyone can apply into this agreement that USP has signed back in 2014 with Humboldt. Can you explain a little bit more, and to whom they should write and ask about this agreement, if they can be enrolled, something like this? I think the internet is. Valmor, can you start?
I think, yeah, but I think Britta is trying to say something.
Yeah, no, okay, Britta, please, again.
Okay, so yeah, so about the goal is to foster all levels of exchange and mobility. However, the seed funding calls that I showed you, this is targeted towards senior researchers and professors mostly. So even if you're a doctoral student, you can find a professor to collaborate with you on applying for the seed funding call. So this is how it works. Usually there's a team of people from each side who then sent in a proposal, and then it will be reviewed by both of our institutions, by external professors and experts. And then, you know, you will very likely, if the proposal is good and if it helps to build the partnership between us on a long term, it will most likely be funded because this is the essence of the seed funding call. So yeah, you can definitely contact me directly about this opportunity or the office of Valmor.
Very good. Valmor, do you want to add something?
Yeah,
well,
just to emphasize that as a student, you cannot apply for this seed funding, but you can be involved. Actually, we expect students to be involved, but they need to contact a senior researcher or a professor and then join team, and then the professor can apply for the seed funding as Britta explained. That's what it is. For the undergraduate level, it's a whole different beast. we have this agreement that we do have a number of specific students that can go to Humboldt and can come here, and then we can even provide scholarships to go to Germany. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Ursula, you were saying something?
Yes, I'm sorry to be interrupting people. Probably the representative from DAD will talk about that later, but there are, of course, opportunities for Brazilian students to apply for funding for their mobility from the DAD. And that's what I meant when I said, if there's an interest and if there are opportunities, maybe we should offer a joint workshop on how to write these applications, because sometimes that is very useful for young scholars to learn how to do that.
It will be fantastic, absolutely. There is one question that is specific from your talk. I don't know if you understand correctly, but is there any specific call or grant application from Humboldt that we Brazilian can apply, where we can find this information at Humboldt website, something like this?
Is that for mobility now?
Yes. Mobility or any kind of possibility of research at Humboldt coming from Humboldt call, something like that.
Well, we do offer, we do sometimes offer scholarships to incoming students. However, these are usually, this is usually agreed on between the universities beforehand, as you know. And I don't think such an agreement is in place, but forgive me for not knowing the details of the agreement at the moment. Britta probably knows better than I do whether there is a student component in there.
No, but the Strategic Partnership Office where I work at is very closely linked to our Erasmus Mobility Office. And so if you have specific questions about funding and applying for funding through the Mobility Erasmus line, I can connect you to those people. They're we try to engage more with the strategic and Erasmus office. So I'd be happy to send you the contact information or forward your request to the team.
Fantastic. And I have two more questions so we can go to the next session. One, there are some students that they actually want to spend 1 year at Humboldt. They can apply for a FAPESP. Some of them are already being financed supported by FAPESP, but they want to find a specialist at Humboldt. How can he, in this case, how can she find the perfect match of a supervisor at Humboldt? Is there any specific way that could be easier for her to find someone in the same area of knowledge? How she can do this? And the last question I can send to you both is about the pandemics. There are words about how are the borders into Germany. Here in Brazil, a high frequency of the population got vaccinated with CoronaVac, and we know that CoronaVac was not yet accepted in Germany. Do you see anything in the near future that these students that were vaccinated with CoronaVac can actually go to Germany? Some of them, they have already the fellowship accepted, so they're just waiting the borders to open. So any ideas?
Well, that is a difficult question that I will answer second, if I may. The first one, forgive me again, was on...
The first one, how she can find the match.
Match, yes. Actually, probably the easiest way to do that would be to send us a description of what she's working on. And then we can pass that on to a person who we think is interested. And if that person isn't interested, we can try to locate somebody in the faculty. So either send it to Britta or to me. Yeah, first one. Second one, Corona. The part that is difficult to explain sometimes is that we have no decision power on answering that question. It's the German government who decides who they will let in. And all we can do is make it possible for those students who are let in to be able to study, basically, or able to do their work. At the moment, Humboldt is still open. We are doing classes in part, even in person. The others are done digitally. But if that person does research, of course, they could still come to the university and enter buildings and all that if they're vaccinated, tested, or have passed through a corona infection. We have organized getting people revaccinated who were vaccinated in the first place with non-acceptable for us, non-acceptable corona vaccines, but we can only do that when they are in Germany, in effect. So we are caught in between the national regulations and the possibilities of the university, which are quite open still. But as long as they're not let into the country, that doesn't matter. I'm sorry to say that, but that's the case.
No, it's perfect. I think we understand. It's just very anxious that we'd like very much to move abroad and to do the research that we are for such a 1.5 years just waiting, expecting to do this.
Well, we would love to see you, students, seriously.
Fantastic. I think, Britta, do you want to add something, or should we close and go to the next session?
Yeah, I mean, just to motivate you again, if you're interested in something specific, really write us with your specific question, and we will be happy to answer you and to connect you to the right people in the university, just as an add to that.
Okay, thank you very much. Ursula, was a fantastic talk, and thanks for answering all these questions. There was quite a lot. I have 2 or 3 pages here of questions, but I will send the questions to Britta, and then later on we can work on a FAQ on our website, just to put how we can answer most of these questions and put the website so the students can go there and see some directions there. So thank you very much. But
can you
yes,
just say that it's
sorry,
really quick?
Yes.
I just want to echo Dr. Hans' talk, because we are receiving a lot of questions from Brazilian students about borders and vaccination, and this is government level, is foreign affairs. We cannot, unfortunately, USP, Humboldt, or whatever university, we cannot solve these problems. This is above us. It's government stuff. Sorry to say that. Thank you.
No problem, Valmor. I think we start with very, very, very nice talks and questions, but we have to move on. So Britta would like to introduce our next session, please, with Daniela Troia.
Yes, so I would like to introduce Dr. Daniela Troia-Linke. She works at the DWIH, German Center for Research and Innovation in Sao Paulo. And as mentioned before, this center is an excellent resource for both our academics as well as your academics to connect with each other and to find funding resources, and also to throw events and stuff like that. So I know that Frau Troia-Linke had a video, and I hope that we will be able also to play this video. But maybe Dr. Troia-Linke, you can start already with your presentation.
So thank you very much, Britta. As already said, my name is Daniela Troia. I'm in charge for projects at the German Center for Research and Innovation in São Paulo. And in German, the acronym is DWIH, and we spell it DWIH in German, because in this case, exceptionally, it is easier to pronounce it in German than in English or in Portuguese. So I would like to start with the video, because I think it's showing how we work, with whom we work, before I go into details with my presentation. Would that be possible?
O Centro Alemão de Ciência e Inovação de São Paulo faz parte de uma rede de 5 centros. Nós temos um centro em Nova York, um em Moscou, um em Nova Delhi e um em Tóquio. E essa rede de centros está hoje dentro do DAD, como uma estrutura de internacionalização da ciência, da pesquisa alemã.
O DAD é o Serviço Alemão de Intercâmbio Acadêmico. Nós somos uma organização que representa as instituições do ensino superior na Alemanha. E nosso objetivo é de promover a internacionalização dos estudos superiores no mundo inteiro. Nós podemos dizer a todos os cientistas brasileiros são bem-vindos de encontrar aqui no DVIH colegas da Alemanha e encontrar parceiros alemães pela sua pesquisa.
O Centro Alemão de Ciência e Inovação em São Paulo é um modelo pela cooperação entre a Alemanha e o Brasil. Ele cria conexões e constrói pontes entre estudantes, cientistas e pesquisadores. Para garantir prosperidade sustentável para as futuras gerações, os nossos países precisam de inovação e ciência. O centro é um importante impulsor dessa inovação e mostra o potencial da nossa cooperação. Juntos somos mais fortes.
Os objetivos da rede dos centros alemães são estimular a cooperação científica, ou seja, colocando os cientistas em contato para promover o intercâmbio de conhecimento, gerar novos projetos entre cientistas da Alemanha e de outros países, promovendo não só a transferência, mas a geração de conhecimento e de tecnologias voltada, por exemplo, para a geração de inovações. Nossos principais eventos e anuais são, em primeiro lugar, o diálogo. O Diálogo Brasil-Alemanha de Ciência, Pesquisa e Inovação que a gente faz junto com a FAPESP. É a nossa grande plataforma de intercâmbio de conhecimento entre cientistas do Brasil e da Alemanha. Segundo grande evento, a gente participa da reunião anual da SBPC, Sociedade Brasileira para o Progresso da Ciência. E junto com a Câmara de Comércio Brasil-Alemanha, a gente organiza o Congresso Brasil-Alemanha de Inovação. Então, neste evento, a gente contribui trazendo o que há de mais recente em termos de conhecimento científico que a gente traz da Alemanha. E na área para jovens pesquisadores, nós realizamos no Brasil o concurso Folien Walls Lab, que classifica um participante para a final em Berlim. Temos ainda, também em parceria com a Câmara de Comércio, o programa Startups Connected, em que nós concedemos um prêmio a uma startup alemã interessada em vir ao Brasil.
Pensamos que o DVIH justamente tem essa missão de conectar os científicos alemães com os colegas brasileiros. E então é lógico que nós não fazemos esse trabalho sozinho, mas com um parceiro. E o melhor parceiro que temos aqui no estado de São Paulo, evidentemente, é a FAPESP.
A relação da comunidade científica brasileira com a Alemanha é muito tradicional. São temas de ciência, de tecnologia, de inovação. Então é compreensível que a cooperação entre duas comunidades científicas seja muito produtiva, em geral causando impactos sempre maiores do que iniciativas de pesquisa feitas isoladamente.
A troca e o aproveitamento da experiência, da inovação, da tecnologia do futuro vindo da Alemanha é fundamental. E o DVIH é um facilitador do acesso a essa tecnologia e inovação para as empresas alemãs.
A DVIH, como a sociedade científica aqui, que representa um país que tem uma ciência de excelência absoluta e alta tecnologia, é extremamente proveitosa essas parcerias. Eu acho que elas terminam sendo benéficas aos dois lados.
Com a criação do DVIH, foi possível elevar a importância do Brasil a nível mundial. E a parceria entre o setor privado e o mundo científico, a academia, é fundamental para promover as relações bilaterais.
Junto com o DVIH e também com outras instituições, a gente busca promover esse intercâmbio Brasil-Alemanha de startups. Então a gente seleciona também sempre uma startup alemã para participar no Congresso Brasil-Alemanha de Inovação e também de uma viagem de negócios aqui no Brasil para promover essa essa parceria Brasil e Alemanha. E isso, graças ao DVH, a gente consegue fazer já há 3 anos.
Wir haben uns sehr, sehr gefreut, den Preis zu gewinnen. Das ist natürlich eine Riesenmöglichkeit für uns, hier in Brasilien Kontakte zu knüpfen, andere Firmen kennenzulernen, die uns vielleicht helfen können, hier in Brasilien Fuß zu fassen und so vor allem die Sensebox auch in Südamerika tatsächlich bekannter zu machen.
Promovemos aqui intercâmbio acadêmico, científico, juntamente com o meio empresarial ou com interlocutores da sociedade ou da administração pública para promover o progresso.
So that was a little thing about us, a little bit, and I hope you enjoyed it. And now I would explain a little more on detail what is our structure and how we work. But first, I want to thank again for the invitation to participate here in this workshop. I think it's very important to have such workshops and get such kind of information for both sides. Okay, now I will share my screen. Wait a second. This one. So now we'll present a little bit our Center for Research and Innovation, the USP São Paulo. Okay, here it's called Science and Innovation just because it's written like this in German or in Portuguese, but in English, the official name is the Center for Research and Innovation, São Paulo. So our center has, like it was explained. Yes?
Can you put in the whole screen, please? So it'll be easier, yeah.
Yes, of course. I thought I did. Okay.
Not yet, but.
Now?
Not. No.
No?
No, it's.
Okay, wait a second.
You can press F5.
Yes, I just did here. Okay. Okay, now?
No, probably because you shared the screen of the PowerPoint, not the screen of the whole.
Yes, I shared the screen of the PowerPoint.
You should share the screen of the whole screen, and then you open the PowerPoint.
Oh, sorry for that. As usually we don't use.
Just because it comes very small, the letter, and probably the students want.
Okay, so let's. Then I have to stop sharing and start again.
Yeah, stop sharing.
Yeah.
Okay. Select. Now he's not only giving the option to share the window. So let's share, share, new share. Okay, screen. Okay. Can you see it now?
So now you can put the PowerPoint in the whole screen.
Okay.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Okay, I will start with our supporters because we are a center that connects a lot of institutions, and it's 25 at the moment. We have universities and university alliances. We have other research associations as the Max Planck Gesellschaft, Fraunhofer, Leibniz, and IF is an association of industrial research. We have also state representations. It's the Brazilian Centrum Baden-Württemberg at the University of Tübingen and the BILAT of Baviera. And we have two very different organizations from the other, one for study preparation and test development, GAST, and for international cooperation, GATESET. And also the three funding organizations are members of the DVH as supporters, like we say. So our main events are the dialogue, the German-Brazilian dialogue on science, research, and innovation. This year we had the topic cities and climate. It was very, very interesting. And the videos are available on our YouTube channel. And now we also have a version with Portuguese. So we made a voiceover in Portuguese. So people that are not so used to English can also listen to it. We also have this roundtable, as mentioned in the video, at the SBPC. And this year we had a roundtable on science, freedom, and democracy. Next year we have, yes, one roundtable on the perception of science and society. It will be very interesting also in July. And we will get back, we hope, to presential meetings. This year it was all online. So we have the annual challenge for young researchers, the Falling Walls Lab Brazil. We had really, really good winners this year. This year it was especially from the health area, but also sustainability. And Georges, who was the winner of the first place, he went to Berlin to present his pitch there, together with 75 people from all around the world. So we also have the German-Brazilian Innovation and Sustainability Congress with the German Chamber of Commerce, as it was said in the video, and the Startups Connected program. The Startups Connected program has this thing that it supports Brazilian startups to connect with the big German companies that are here in Brazil, and this category with the German startup coming here. We have also other events like the Seminar of High Technology that happened this year, or digitization and virtualization of product development and production. So these are events more in the areas of engineering. Sorry. So each year we have an open house day. Usually it's in October. And also all these videos you can watch at our YouTube channel. This month we just had the online talks, Society in Transition, about the impacts of the pandemic on social inequalities on health and economic development and urban development and mobility. It was really, really interesting, and we had partner organizations that helped to bring one of the speakers. It was Messila and FGV and the GATESET this year. So for news and opportunities on the German research and innovation scene, you can check out our website. It's this, www.saopaulo.org, or our YouTube channel. So you can get our new videos and sign up our newsletter. And now I see that my colleague Francini from DAD is already there, and she can present you the opportunities the DAD, generally speaking, offers. So thank you very much, Britta, for the invitation, and all the people at the USP. I wish you luck. I wish you success, and I hope we meet each other, perhaps here. Bye.
Thank you
very special things from us as well for this great presentation, Daniela. We are very excited to work closer with you and to explore opportunities together. So now I would like to introduce Francine from the DWIH, and she will introduce some opportunities about funding opportunities at DAD. So Francine, the floor is yours.
Yes, I think I cannot share yet because Daniela is still sharing, or it's just me?
She has to stop sharing, so you can then share. Daniela, if you can stop sharing, please.
Yes, I will now.
You can go.
Try to share screen. I think it's my presentation. Can you see the presentation?
It's coming. Yeah.
At a full mode, maybe?
Yes, please.
Okay. So good morning, everyone. Can you hear me well? Too? Yes, I think so. So thank you for the invitation, Britta, and AUCANI too, Niels, in the person of Niels. My name is Francine Cameli. I'm the DAD representative here in São Paulo, and DAD stands for German Academic Exchange Service. So I'm here today to talk about study and research opportunities in Germany. For those of you who don't know what is DAD and what we do, we are a non-profit association with 241 associates, mainly German universities.
Francine, sorry, the screen is not being shared completely, so you have to come back to the first slide. We are in the 16, actually.
Yeah, it's in the first one for me.
Not for us.
Okay, then I will stop maybe sharing. Start again.
Share the whole screen of the computer, and then you open your PowerPoint and you put them.
Maybe now?
It's coming. Yeah, enough for perfect.
Well, so now I can't move on. Yeah, right now. So DAD stands for the German Academic Exchange Service, and we are a non-profit association with many universities associated, 241 actually, and research institutions as well, and students association. Our main goal, our primal goal, is to promote the internationalization of German higher education institutions. That's why we have cooperation in our academic levels and in our scientific areas over the whole world. And we have office in 60 different countries. Here in Brazil, we have a regional office in Rio, and this representation office in São Paulo too. But we also have professors in 6 other states in Brazil, and in the near future in Brasilia too, Brasilia. So here we have a map with all our 60 representations around the world. And talking about research, we have also what makes German a good place for research. There are universities, independent research institutes, and industry that work together for carrying out research. We aim to promote science too. So we have a list of examples here of research institutes that are now not represented here today because we only have DAD and DFG, but we have others. And some of them are also associated with the DWH, the DWIGH, and you can get to know more about them and contact them later, maybe through these websites directly. And here we have an overview overview of all our scholarship offers. As you can see, we have opportunities for almost each level of study and research, from German language courses, for example, until doctorate, and later on, I can show you more about research opportunities as well. I'm not going to detail of every program, but I would like to say that this program, for example, Winter course, is also for postgraduate and doctorate candidates, not only graduandos, also mestrandos and doutorandos. And the applications are open in July every year. And we hope that in the next call, it would be possible to travel and to do the courses in Germany. The other one is the EPOS, the development-related postgraduate master courses, and also PhD. 3 courses are PhD on this program. And it's a program with four master courses, and in our areas of academic fields. We have a list in our website with the deadlines and so on, the application procedures as well. In these programs, 2 years of work experience are required, so you have to be graduated and then work a little bit later on. And here you have the website and their areas too. As you can see, we have opportunities for almost every level of study and research. So usually the application process is in the second semester. All the master scholarships offers, for example, a monthly payment of 861 euros, travel expenses, German courses prior to the beginning of studies in university, and the health insurance. Another program is the Helmut Schmidt program. It's mainly for humanity candidates, since it focuses on public policy and good governance research. Applications open in the first semester each year, and you can check the 9 participants universities or courses in our website too. This program doesn't require this 2 years work experience, but social and political engagement are very important here, are expected. So another one is the arts and music program. It's a little bit different because the candidate can choose the master course in a public university in Germany, up to 3 courses, master courses, and the application process goes through DAD and universities too, separately. And a portfolio or a recording for the musicians, for example, are expected during the selection process. Applications period is in the second semester each year. Some areas are still open and are currently open. You can check in our website the details of the application. Here you have the website, the areas, and then the doctorate. Our doctorate scholarships are a cooperation with CAPES. At least this year was cooperation with CAPES. In our last call, we have 45 scholarships available for carry out research in Germany, up to 4 years of period time. The application process was through Plataforma Chagas, and we will have the results soon. Usually applications open in the second semester each year, and it is not possible to choose the agency. You will receive the funding. The selection committee decides which candidate will be funded by DAD or CAPES, for example, and the monthly payment of DAD, I can say that it's 1,200 euros. Here you have all the options that you can apply, a whole doctorate program in Germany, or a sandwich model, like we call it here in Brazil, binational supervised or co-tutor with a double degree, for example, is also possible. And the link you can check the last call, and possibly the next one will be with CAPES too, so you can prepare yourself for the second semester next year. We also have the co-funded research grants, the short-term grants, and in case you are already doing your doctorate here in Brazil, for example, with funding for with CAPES funding or other FAP, for example, FAPESP, FAPEMIG, FAPES, and want to do a research during 2 to 6 months in Germany, is also a possibility. You can apply for this funding, and next year it will be only one call, and in the second semester, very likely to be in the second semester. The conditions you can check in our website, that doesn't change a lot, so you can check and prepare for that. Candidates usually apply for both, for the whole doctorate or for a sandwich model in the doctorate, in the agreement with CAPES, in the cooperation with CAPES call, and on this one. You can't receive both of the grants, but you can apply for both of them. So for postdocs and university professors, we have a 1, 2, 3 research stays, and you have to present an invitation for the application process. No? And more details and deadlines is in our website in these studies. These programs also exist specifically for architecture and arts and music professors. So you can apply for that too. And there is also the study visits. Is also a professor that apply with a group of students. So if you can research with your students, a group of up to 15 students of mestrado, doutorado, or even graduação, you can apply for these research stays to get to know better a university, a lab, a research institution in Germany. The application procedures is in this link below. You can check for that. The DD cover the travel expenses and a monthly payment for the day and hotel also. And here you can check more opportunities. For example, in the funding guide database, it's DAD database. You can check out the opportunities for Brazilian and for other nationals too, not only for German and Brazilians, but also for other, if you have other nationalities. In this case, in USP, we know that a lot of students comes from Africa sometimes, and Latin America, other countries from Latin America. They can also check other opportunities there. And here we have our social media channels. YouTube, we have YouTube, a lot of videos, and Instagram, brand new Instagram for you to check. And you can also subscribe to our newsletter, monthly newsletter. We usually promote we usually use that as a channel to get to know about the next calls. And we have also weekly meeting on Wednesday, 3 o'clock for counseling the students or research that want to study in Germany. So I want to thank you all for the opportunity to be here and presenting, and I wish you best luck for the cooperation between USP and Humboldt Berlin.
Thank you so much, Francine. That was a great overview, and I think the participants might have follow-up questions that we will target in a little bit. Thank you so much. So right now I can introduce our third speaker in the series, Dr. Dietrich Halm, and he will be joining us from the DFG in Bonn. Dr. Dietrich Halm is Director of International Cooperations with Latin America at the DFG, and I will be happy to share the slides. Dr. Halm, okay, let me try.
Thank you so much for your kind introduction, Mrs. Schumacher. It's a great pleasure to be here this afternoon and to give you an overview about the funding opportunities which DFG can offer in the cooperation between German and Brazilian universities, and in your special case between the Humboldt University and USP. So very shortly about who we are, who is the DFG. So we are Germany's largest and independent funding organization, and how we characterize it for curiosity-driven research. You can also say basic or academic research. And we are funding top-level research in all branches of science and the humanities without any exception. And we are a so-called self-governing organization that works according to the bottom-up principles. And this means that the researchers have the freedom to choose the topics of their project. So we do not follow preliminarily defined priorities as an institution. And so there is a lot of academic freedom, and there is a strict procedure of evaluation behind it according to quality criteria. And what I would like to pronounce here, and as it already was announced by my by the previous speakers, that DFG is part of the DVIH São Paulo, and we have in the DVIH São Paulo our Latin America office, which is not only in the responsibility for the cooperation with Brazil, but also with other Latin American countries. And our director is Christina Peters. Next slide, please. So now about the funding opportunities. If we think it from your position as a researcher from the USP, A is a focus on the joint collaboration with Germany-based researchers within a bilateral project. So if you would like to construct a joint project, which possibilities do you have? So you can do such or establish such a cooperation within our cooperation agreement with FAPESP, which is based on matching funds. And the main funding program is named Joint DFG FAPESP Research Grants. And I gave you here the direct links where you can follow to get more information on the FAPESP side, on the DFG side, and always please be so open and contact us. I will let you the contact details in my last slide. Who can apply under this program? So at DFG, this is any researcher with a doctoral degree and who is currently working at a German university or a research institution, and they hold the requirements for our so-called individual research grants program. This is a very central and basic funding program of the DFG. And at FAPESP in parallel, you have to check the respective requirements of the so-called Auxílio Regular. This is the central funding program of FAPESP, and here we match these both programs for 3-year projects with a 3-year duration, and you can apply for posts for researchers, for doctoral researchers, also for postdocs. You can apply for equipment, for consumable costs, for travel, publication, all in a whole package you can apply for. And the next slide, please. So I cannot see it. I take some time. Okay. Yeah, the application procedure for such a joint DFG FAPESP research grant, this follows a so-called continuous flux. So there are no deadlines for submission. You can submit a joint proposal at any time in any area of research or humanities. And how does it work, at least? So the researcher from USP, you need a German partner, could be from the Humboldt University in Berlin. And together you develop a proposal for a joint research project. And the partner in Germany submits a proposal to the DFG, and in parallel, you as the partner from USP, you submit it to the FAPESP. If the project will be approved by both of us, DFG and FAPESP, then it will be jointly funded, and the DFG funding is for the German share of the project, and the Brazilian share will be funded by FAPESP. And this works very well. We have lots of examples, successful examples of this program, and currently it's open. It's so there's no restriction, and yeah, if you have further questions, just contact us. Next slide, please. So I come now to so-called instruments to enable you as a researcher from USP to carry out research or to do part of your career in Germany. And I do not hope that you think we would like to do a brain drain here. No, but this is the universal functioning of the DFG programs, because any researcher worldwide can apply to DFG programs. There's no restriction by nationality. And the first possibility, this could be a position in a DFG funded project. So you could find a project of your interest, then you could have a look at and check if there is an open position, maybe for a PhD position, a postdoc position, or a researcher's position in such a project. And to find such a project, you should access our GIPRIS database. And all projects of DFG who are currently funded are on this database. And you can go into more detail on this database. You can search by area, institution, and people. And then to look for a research project which might meet your interest. And if you will find such a project, then you can directly access the website of the project or the relevant PI of the project and check if there is a available position in this project. This is the first possibility. Now the next slide, we come to another possibility. This is within our funding program of so-called research training groups. This is a specific program for the structured training of PhD. So this might be very interesting for PhD candidates. And this is a program where you have 3 years of doctoral training in a structured research environment. You can also access our database to find an RTG of your interest. Then you can also here check if there is an open position for a PhD position or also for a postdoc position. And this is a specific homepage at DFG. And you can directly click and then you will have the whole list of currently funded RTGs. And next possibility, next slide, please.
Coming up.
Thank you so much. So if you already hold a doctoral degree, you can submit your own research project directly to the DFG. However, in this case, a prerequisite is that you will carry out your project in Germany then. And one of these programs is the so-called Walter Benjamin program. This is dedicated to researchers in an early postdoctoral training phase who want to independently conduct their own specific project in Germany. You need, in this case, the support of a host institution. So in this case, USP would be a host institution. Then DFG provides funds for a salaried position at an institution of your choice in Germany, which will employ you and provide infrastructure and any additional required research costs according to the regulations of the DFG. And you need a statement from a researcher of your host institution outlining how he or she would support your career in this, integration into the local academic networks. So this is about the Walter Benjamin program. I have a last slide about another possibility, please.
Coming.
And this would be about a so-called temporary position for principal investigators. These are funds to develop your own research project at a German research institution of your choice. So this is not for the very early career phase. This is more for already elaborated phase of your career. And the DFG provides funds for research and personnel costs, including your own salaried position. This is also according to the DFG regulations, and the German host university or research institution becomes your employer, and you need a letter of acceptance of this institution. And with this, you can apply directly for this temporary position, which is not a fellowship. This is a module of our research grants program. This is the general funding program of DFG, and we have a special module where you can apply for this temporary position. And then you will compete with all other proposals which DFG receives in the specific area, and the evaluation is strictly based on the quality criteria. And you also have here the link to more information of this program. I have to say there are other career programs, but these are career programs more dedicated to do a professorship in Germany. It's the Heisenberg program and the Emmy-Noether program. I will not focus here on these two programs, but if you have questions also to other programs, you always can contact us. And I think my time limit is done here. And with this, we can have the last slide with the contacts. You find the contacts here of myself in the DFG head office on the left side. On the right side, you have the contact of our DFG office in Sao Paulo, where you can contact Christina Peters. You see also our websites, also available in Portuguese and Spanish language, our LinkedIn contact, and for general questions on programs for research careers, we have a specific email where you can also address directly. And with this, I will come to an end of my presentation. Thank you for your attention, and I'm open for questions.
Thank you very much, Daniela. Thank you very much, Francini, and thank you very much, Dietrich, for this very nice talk. While Britta was introducing you and helping you out with the presentation, I was collecting some questions here from the chat. So the question will be actually for everyone, and you feel comfortable, each one to answer. The one is about age limit. Is there any kind of age limit for an application for a postdoc, for a PhD, to apply for this fellowship to do research in Germany?
Yeah, for the AD, there is a general rule that is up to 6 years after the last graduation. If it's mestrado, graduação, or doutorado, you have to, you can't wait more than 6 years to apply for the AD scholarship after your last graduation.
I see. Okay. Normally, when we do these webinars, the audience is more related to master and PhD students. But here today, we have quite a lot of professors and postdocs. And Dietrich just spoke a lot of opportunity for postdocs. And I wonder, this was, I don't know if it was so clear for me, but do the postdocs need to find a project where there is an open position for postdoc, or they apply for a postdoc fellowship and then find a team? What comes first? Can you explain a little bit more about the opportunity for postdocs, please?
Yeah. On the one hand, if you are a postdoc at USP and you would like to go for part of your career or for a project to Germany, you can, on the first hand, search in our database if there is an interesting project of your area and look if there is a position offered in such a project. This is one possibility. So with this, you would apply for a position of an already existing project. And the other possibilities, this holds for the Walter Benjamin and also for the temporary position. There, you, as a researcher of USP, can apply directly in Germany at DFG for a own proposal And the only thing you need for a temporary position is this letter of acceptance and invitation of your German host. And for the case of Walter Benjamin, so you will come to Germany, but you are still related to your host university. In this case, it would be USP. So USP should also give a letter of support and function as a host institution in this case for Walter Benjamin. And also integrated in such a project for both types, you can include also stages and travels back to your home institution. If there are research partners who are important for your project, you can include that all into the construction of your proposal. But it is possible, and recently we got proposals from Brazilian researchers, also successful cases where researchers now would come to Germany and stay for 3 years at least. And within these 3 years, they also have the possibility to submit other proposals to DFG.
Fantastic. There are 2 questions that are more or less combined. Is related to language skills. So the one is, do they need to know Deutsch? Do they need to speak Deutsch to go to Germany? And the other one is, there are any other opportunity for postgraduate students to improve their German language skills besides the winter course?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's the only one opportunity. Is the first opportunity that we offer is to, how can I say that, to improve your German knowledge through this winter course, this course, because it's for B1 level. And the goal is to come back later to do a master or a doctorate in Germany. So we don't support the beginners courses. Maybe other institutions in Germany can offer that. And other detail that I forget to mention is our master courses, the majority of our master courses are held in English. So you receive German courses prior to your course in English in Germany from 2 to 6 months before to settle down in Germany, to get accustomed with the culture and the food and the public transportation and so on. But it's not mandatory for the course. And then you can keep learning in the university too, because all public universities in Germany usually offer German courses free of charge for all immatriculated students. So I think once you're in Germany, you will learn German.
Very nice. I have one, this probably the last one, because we have someone in the chat answer the question for the AD, so most of the questions were directly answered in the chat. So the question is, Dietrich, is about the GFG FAPESP fellowship. I know that these fellowships here in our side is we can apply anytime during the year. So we can apply, as you said, as an auxílio regular, as a regular call, a grant, or a thematic thing. The question is, sometimes when you try to find the perfect match in Germany, sometimes it is hard, because I don't know if this research in any German university, they can apply to this specific fellowship, but they can also apply to different GFG fellowships. Because sometimes here in FAPESP, you need to get an eligibility letter saying that if you have enough time, if you have enough, if you can really have a second or a third project. If not, you cannot apply for this one. Does it happen the same way in Germany? So do I need to find someone that doesn't have a grant, and this could be the real financial support for the research in any university, something?
So you mean if you apply for the DFG FAPESP funding program, if the German partner has to have already a DFG funded other project, or?
Here, sometimes when you apply for a grant from FAPESP, I need to ask just few weeks before a letter of eligibility. It means that FAPESP will count how many hours do I have in my fellowships and supervision, so I can have a second fellowship. So I wonder if it's the same for Germany. It means that if I can find my colleague from Humboldt, but he has already a DFG fellowship, can he get a second one in details?
Yes, of course, yeah. We do not care about numbers of DFG funding and projects. They are free. The researchers are free to decide. What counts is the quality and the results of the project, and this has to be guaranteed anyway. But researchers have their solutions and have assistants and other colleagues and so on who are involved. This is, I think, this is more an approach of managing projects or a couple of projects in parallel, but no restriction in that, no restriction.
Thank you very much. I love your answer that research is free. Sometimes we feel a little bit tight here that we cannot ask for another fellowship because they think that we don't have enough time and so on. But this is fantastic. Yeah, very nice. Thank you very much. And the last question is, again, for you all. When you talk about this grant for postdocs, master, PhD, and so on, are you taking account that any kind of support to find housing, school for children, anything that can help the family to move and to start their early days in Deutsch in Germany?
Yes, the DAD has, how can I say that, subsidiary costs for children and spouses too. So if you have children and spouse, you can bring them together and we will receive more. And this help with accommodation and the daily life and schools, usually the university offers. It's not the DAD, the practical stuff is not the DAD because each university works in each city and knows better each city to provide this kind of information and help with that. So it can vary a lot. It depends if the city is big or small or medium. But usually the universities offer this kind of service, free of charge.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
It's the same also at TFG. Yeah, this will be taken into account if how your family situation is if you come to Germany and how the situation is, how many children you have, and it's also that a project could be prolonged if you get a child within the project phase and so on. There are many possibilities.
This is fantastic. It's always fantastic to hear you talk about this kind of collaboration support from Germany, academic program. Very nice. Thank you very much, Trish. Thank you very much, Daniela and Francini. We have to move on. It was a great talk from you. And now I can ask the next session. So thank you again. So it is my pleasure now to introduce Professor Gisele Bergman. She's a professor here at USP, and she's, as I said in the beginning, a pioneer in celebrating agreement and a collaboration with Humboldt University. So Gisele, please.
Hi, hello, good morning, good afternoon to everybody. First of all, I would like to thank to Professor Niels, Olsen, and Britta Schumacher for the invitation to join you in this webinar. And my role here is really to tell you about my experience in research with the Humboldt University. And for this, I will focus in my participation in the Cluster of Excellence Image Knowledge, following debates on image knowledge and new materialities that were really fundamental to the development of my personal research in the field of images, and one of the results is my last book by Ubu Editora that it was published last August here in São Paulo. And also as my experiences involved also not just the research and participation in the Humboldt lab, but I had the opportunity of co-supervising a thesis by Graziele Lautenschangler, and now I'm co-supervising another thesis, but in this case, I'm the main supervisor, that is by the thesis of Natalia Lavini, which is partially developed at Humboldt University now. In the case of Graziele Lautenschangler, it was an amazing experience of remote supervision long before the pandemics. Graziele was in Berlin and I was in São Paulo. The main supervisor was Professor Wolfgang Schnapfer, and it's this process is quite interesting because it involves different methodologies, different conceptual backgrounds, and it is an important and amazing professor opportunity to be part of this multi and transnational supervision. I took part of Graziele PhD thesis presentation, and it is a totally different model, how they work at Humboldt University from what we do in Brazil. I think it's one of the most interesting formats of thesis presentations, where here we have a board that examines the theses and comments, and it's responsible for the evaluation of the results. And there is totally different. Who are in charge of this evaluation is the supervisors of the thesis. And there is kind of an open meeting to discuss the thesis. It's a model that we could someday follow in Brazil. I think it's a much more interesting way of discussing the results of thesis works. And now with Natalia Lavini, she has an opportunity of following up the opening and reception of a new museum, which is not simply a new museum, but one of the most powerful projects in Europe, that it's the Humboldt Forum. It's a huge project, and Natalia probably will tell you some of the debates around the museum opening. And it's important to stress that Natalia's stay in Berlin matched the pandemics, what brings new layers, difficulties, and also opportunities for her research in the field of images and museums in our days. I think that these are the main aspects that I would highlight of my experience working as a researcher and partner of the Humboldt University at the University of São Paulo. And I will give space to Natalia Lavini to present her project and detail how her experience of working in between the University of São Paulo and the Humboldt University in Berlin during the pandemics and after the pandemics, as we are now in this moment of transition. So thank you very much again for the opportunity of sharing with you my experience of research with the Humboldt University and particularly with the Humboldt Lab. And I would invite Natalia Lavini to present her work. Thank you very much again, Niels and Britta, for the invitation, for joining you this morning in Brazil.
Thank you very much, Giselle. It's wonderful to hear from you. Natalia, can you share some thoughts with us, and then we make the questions to you both.
Okay, hello everyone. Can you hear me well?
Yeah. Fantastic, yeah.
Okay. So good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you also, Britta and Niels, for their invitation. It is a pleasure to share with you some information, both about my stay here and to share some important tips also for people who are planning to apply for a similar program, which I think is always very useful. I've been doing this with friends in formal ways, so it is nice to prepare this information in a more official, formal presentation. And also to talk a little bit more about my research here and the partnership Giselle already introduced with Humboldt, and something that she already has studied before, which is she's very responsible for this. And I will share my screen. Just 1 second.
Yeah, it's coming.
Okay. Can you say? Okay. Can you see?
Yeah,
just
the full screen, please.
Yes. So yeah. So basically, yeah, I'll talk a little bit about some in 3 steps about the application process and useful information that I'm not sure sometimes could seem something really that is basic, but in my case, it seems that it would be helpful because there are particular situation that happened with me, and if I knew, maybe it would avoid some misinformation, and also some important things about the preparation, including something that is Anmeldung, which is something that is really an issue here if you come to especially Berlin, and after a little bit about my research particularly. So yeah, first of all, the first thing I can say is just as we have such amazing presentation today that talk in many details about this process, but just I would like to reinforce that that it's important to plan in advance and especially in dialogue with your supervisor in Brazil, because I think it is a very strategic decision. The person who will be your co-supervisor, that is really important that it is someone that is in a good connection with your own supervisor in Brazil, because it will open path both for you and for your home university. And so this is my advice. And in my case, both contact that I have here were already professors that Giselle was working before, which is Wolfgang Schnaffner and Friedrich von Boos, who actually Friedrich at some point moved to another position in another museum. He was the former curator of the Humboldt Lab, which I'm associated in my research. And now the responsible is Daniel Tirodelis, but basically I'm keeping in touch with Friedrich as well to give me important information about how this lab was developed. So this is one thing. The second thing is require is an exam that are in English, although we are coming, you're coming to Germany. It is required, as you probably know, to take this English exam that are for any places, and they have, it is just be attentive to the dates, because sometimes, for example, you have an open call for a scholarship, and it happened with me some years ago. I could not find an available date. I need to travel. I need to do a trip to another small city in São Paulo or in Rio. I don't remember which place was that, because the IELTS it was an exam that sometimes is really difficult to manage the booking, and probably now due to the pandemic, it is even harder. And I also take this opportunity to say that in my case, my scholarship, which was the short-term DAD grant, a partnership with CAPES, I was not required to have a German knowledge before, although I started to learn here, but at least in a very basic level, but it was not required to come. So it is pretty enough to have this international English exam. And also something that it looks basic, but it's always important, like to read attentively about the required documents, because I had an issue in applying the first time just for a misunderstanding about a document. So I need to apply it once again. Luckily it worked, but maybe I could avoid this, or if I had checked it better, if I'd asked the people of DAD in more detail about, I mean, it was not a mistake, but it was like a misunderstanding that if sometimes we are afraid to ask, and it's really important to be attentive and ask everything before the final process. So yeah, just also very few things about the preparation, which is, yeah, visa application, as someone told, that is not something, the current situation is not under our control, but there are things that we can at least plan in advance, like to check but this is after you already were accepted. But I mean, the German consulate in São Paulo is sometimes really it is sometimes difficult to find time, and it was closed during the pandemic time. So it is always useful to, yeah, ask someone to get in contact, even through email. They were, at least with me, they were being attentive. So yeah, but if you can, with more than 3 months, you need to apply. Yeah, well, this is something that we're already clear. Yeah, regarding accommodation, also, it is a tricky issue, especially if you come to Berlin, because as you probably also know, the Berlin, it is, there is a housing crisis, for a few years already. The rent used to be very cheap, but it's getting higher, and it is really competitive. Sometimes it is really hard to find a place. I was lucky, although I moved already different times to temporary places, because this situation is not a permanent, so you need to find this temporary place. And then my tips are this particular community that calls Berlin Scholars, that is really useful just for people, researchers. Is a community that everybody is normally in the same situation, and so it's people that you can trust. It is easier to connect. The Humboldt, there is a accommodation as well, which I put a link there, but in my case, I didn't use. But it is, at least you arrive, you can book before, and you can, in any case, sometimes cancel I think some weeks before without paying. So just be careful with this, because yeah, it could be, if you do not plan in advance, it could be something stressful. And then Unmeldung, which is something that I have never heard before, and many people don't know about this. That is like a document that you need to registration, that you are living in the city, that you need to do even if you come for a short time. That is mandatory for many things here, to open a bank account. You have to do this in 2 weeks when you arrive, and some of these rental agreements although it is an obligation for them to give you because it's temporary, sometimes you could have problems. So just verify if the places you are negotiating, it is possible to have this Anmeldung. Otherwise, it would be hard as well. You probably need to move and find some other places in a rush. So just, I think that it would avoid some problems. And well, and then just I move now to some highlights of my research, which I've just reintroduced my topic, which is the topic of my PhD thesis dissertation that I'm about to finish next year in a few months, which is about the circulation of images of museum spaces and the art and images of art on Instagram or social media. I have some particular case studies, which one of them is the National Museum. It is one of the chapters in which I map this particular hashtag of how, which calls Museu Nacional Vive, National Museum is alive. And it is a particular methodology that we developed to, like, from a more curatorial approach to map how people are musealizing the museum themselves and creating their own personal collection and narratives on social media. And I mentioned this because through this research that led me to this research here. Sorry, I can go back to this later. I just want to show a picture to the Humboldt Forum, which I'm also initially, I made a connection between two different museums that completely different in many ways, but with a similar past that deal with imperial collections that are problematized very much nowadays. And one were destructed, one is being developed at the same time. And then I tried to create an image contact between these two museums on social media. And basically I'm mapping, well, this is what I'm doing like on Instagram, but I'm also doing this field studies, this field research here, doing many visits to the museum that was open in July. This was also something that an issue that I have. This is why I need to postpone my research period here, because I arrived in January in the peak of the pandemic, and the museum was supposed to open December 2020, was only open July this year, and now it will probably maybe be closed again. So all this open and closes really resonates very much on the research, but it was very important for me to be here because I'm looking particularly on the engagement between visitors and the museum space, so it would not make sense to follow this from a distance, although the objects are images on Instagram. So yeah, just to talk very quickly about my research aims, which is to identify how the musealization of the museum space through cell phone maybe transforming the relationship with the ways of seeing the museum, investigate a new experience of documenting, curating, and taxonomize images of collections took by the audience, and compare the meta-narratives aspects of the hashtags in this documentation archive with the memories institutionalized by museums. And so these are some of the methodology. And basically, yeah, the research I'm doing here in the Humboldt, which is associated with the Humboldt Lab, which is a laboratory that the Humboldt University is developed inside this museum. They have their own space that develop not only exhibition, but activities that it is a kind of a mediation of the museum, and also a space for the university to like to have an idea that the knowledge, universal knowledge, could be more in a wider communication with the audience, which is a very useful way to work. It could be applied in some universities in Brazil. And these are some of the maps that I've been doing of these images already, which is still basically I'm looking for this archive of images since 2012. These are one of the first images that I found on these hashtags since when the construction site began. As you also probably know, there is a very controversial project. It is the reconstruction of the Persian city palace, which was a very symbol of an imperialist spirit of Germany, and also in spite of that, it is a facsimile building that it is like a fake object, which interested for me that I'm dealing with the reproduction of artworks, and in this case, it is a reproduction of a museum itself, of the building itself. And also I look for some kind of, this is one part of the research that I've been also doing here, because I'm looking for images of visitors in the museum space in several museum archives and collections. And I had access to several important collections here, even some online, but some in person too. And these are some images that I got from the Documenta archive, which was a very good, actually, introduction made by Daniel Tiradelles, which is currently the curator of the Humboldt Lab. He edited this book that was about Bauhaus and Documenta, and how both institutions are kind of a brain in Germany. And interestingly, they, in this publication, also did a research on Instagram about how this both brands and as a hashtag are represented, what kind of narratives are tell about this names and historically on social media, which was something that I bring into my research as well as a interesting example. So yeah, there are many things that I could show, but I don't want to be so specific about the research that I think that could be more. I just want to speak more in general lines, and yeah, but if you have any particular questions or issues or something to ask me, this is my content, and I'll be here for a few months yet until March. So yeah, thank you again. Hope to see you.
Thank you, Natalia. Wonderful talk from you and Giselle, and a very nice idea how you two make it real and make it work from nothing, because we didn't have this collaboration and you are the beginner and you just made it work very nicely. There are some questions here from everything that you said about this practical stuff from the student that they are necessary when they arrive in Germany. What can the students can actually do while they are here in Brazil? Can they anticipate anything related to bank account, housing? It is possible to do anything from here, and when they arrive in Germany, in Berlin, where you are right now, they are just one step ahead, something like this?
Yeah, I think that the accommodation basically would be important to not only to have a place to stay, but to assure that this place would give you a meldon, because this is something that sometimes is, I had this in mind, but I didn't know really that it was so serious. So it happened with me when I arrived. Then initially I thought that I could not get the place I was, and I was able to get, but I almost had to move like suddenly because of that. So this was something that, and all the things that are required. The bank account, no, this is something that only from here, I guess. But accommodation and all the, and German course is something, the DID provides. In my program, I think they didn't, the short-term CAPES grant, I think that they did not, but there are some other courses for good price. And then
you spoke German before. I mean, you know the language. You knew the language before coming to Berlin, or you learned Germany after you arrived in Berlin and you came with English as the language for your work. How it was?
As I mentioned, I didn't. I do not speak German yet. Just have a very basic. I'm learning very basically, which it is not enough to. Learning German is a year's process, and I mean, and it depends on the city you are. In Berlin, it is pretty viable to live only with English, but I've heard that some other cities would be complicated. But certainly, there is also kind of a myth. It is Berlin, depends on the bubble it is, but I should say that if I knew before, I should have learned before in Brazil to have a more advanced level now.
Deutsch is fantastic. And Giselle, do you think that, could you describe this process? And now that you see your students just giving this very nice presentation and she succeeds so well, do you describe that this was a hard task? This was okay, so you should, anyone that is watching us should go for it because it is feasible, or it demands some time, and sometimes there are critical points that you should bear in mind before starting a process of an agreement, of a collaboration of Humboldt, that you want to tell us to be aware of?
Something that I think that it is very, very important, thank you for the question, Niels, is to have, to give a real good introduction about your project to your supervisor abroad. This is not just a formality. This is part of the research. Natalia is really brave because she crossed this period of pandemics. It was in many ways easier with Grazielli because we were living in a world that we all know that it's the real world, where people meet, where people have schedules, where you can exchange things, where you can have a coffee. But maybe as we are now getting more conscious and aware, this is not anymore a kind of unusual situation. We will probably have many others in the next years. Sorry for being so realistic, but you are the best person to say that you are right. And this cannot be something that will break our communication and international partnerships. So we must be ready for facing these difficulties. And because of this, a previous plan with the supervisor abroad, even if it is in Brazil or in Germany, is more important than ever. And this was really something that happened to me and Natalia, and it's part of our experience. I will be better in the next years. And so I congratulate Natalia for many reasons, not just for the quality of research, but for facing so many difficulties. But it's something that will be part of our game. From this point of view, in short, the dialogue before you go with your future supervisor is very, very important.
I think it was fantastic to hear that from you. Oh, the project started before, isn't it? It's absolutely right. This is part of to succeed. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Giselle. Britta, do you want to comment and make some questions to our colleagues?
Yes. So first of all, thank you both for highlighting this experience. And I'm actually also very, very happy that I was able to connect to Natalia through this webinar, because we have connected before through some other issue, and then I remembered Natalia. And so I think through this webinar and through this dialogue now, it started you know, a new connection. And I think we can also collaborate some more on maybe some other issues. So I'd be happy to continue this conversation, Natalia, and I'm very, very very, very fond of your both of your presentations. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Britta. I was really happy with your contact. And also I'll be really happy, of course, don't need to say it, of any other collaboration. I'm really open to that, and I'm here. So even with the second phase of pandemic getting more, but we are keep, like, at least I think we are more prepared at least for this challenging again to be more isolated but in contact.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Natalia. Thank you, Gisele. We shall move on to the end of this webinar. From my part, I'm thrilled that we have a wonderful morning here in Brazil. Very exciting talks and just sharing these ideas and perception of how we live and how we make science in Brazil in these very hard times is unique. So Germany is one of our top countries in collaboration. We should seek to strengthen this collaboration, and we are open to that. AUCANI and our graduate office will make all efforts to combine and to make this match between Brazil and Germany to find the best supervising students to do this research. So Britta, I want to thank you to put this happening today. I mean, it was your effort in DAD, DIIH, and DFG. I think we have a wonderful, wonderful morning.
Thank you so much, Niels. It's been a pleasure to work with you all. And I think a lot more will come out of this. I think this is just a starting point for more. So thank you all.
Thank you all. So we finish now. Hope to see you soon in another webinar from our graduate office. I expect to have again German University connected with us. So email us and we send a lot of information how to make it real, okay? So thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
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 Carolina, pode terminar.